I think what's going on with Wars Battlefront right now needs no explanation, because I'm sure you've seen it. We need Battlefront 3. Rebellion to build
We need
Battlefront 3. Spread the word. We need Battlefront 3. Spread the word, ladies. We need Battlefront 3. We need Battlefront 3. Spread the word, ladies. Give us Battlefront 3. We need Battlefront 3. But I will explain this whole thing for those of you who are unaware, because clearly you're living under an actual rock. So recently there's been this big outcry from fans of the Star Wars Battlefront games. No, not those games. Those games. And yeah, so many of these fans are demanding that EA get off their lazy ass and force DICE to finally make a game that's, good. This happens a lot with series that don't get a third entry. You know who you are. But this time, fans are not just asking the developers or creating rumors and spreading hype. This time, they are actually taking over the entire internet. Everywhere I go, I see Star Wars Battlefront 3, Star Wars Battlefront 3 in all the comment sections of videos that don't even have anything to do with it. Seriously, I saw an air fryer edit on TikTok and still saw these comments everywhere. But now all of this attention on a singular series is bound to have some sort of effect, especially when you literally cannot escape it. And of course, many people felt inclined to go and install Battlefront 2 again and give it a shot. And naturally, with one of my best friends being a huge Star Wars fan, I was recommended to go and play the game. Of course, to this I hit him with the only reasonable response to a question like this, which was, no, because I'm not a nerd! I said okay, and proceeded to install the game to my computing device. Now this game is something I actually played at launch, and still own to this day on my dusty, crusty Xbox One. Yeah, I still have one of those. Don't judge me, I just use it for Netflix. But with me having a previously horrible experience with this game, with the egregious loot crate stuff and the fact the game would literally never work, it's safe to say I didn't have very high hopes for this game. And when I finally booted the game up after years of not playing it, it was amazing. As you can probably tell from the fact I spent the time to make a big fancy intro for this video, I absolutely loved coming back to this game. For the most part, I stuck to the Supremacy mode, which is basically Conquest from Battlefield with a Star Wars coat and slightly not as fun. You know, you've got multiple points around the map that need to be captured by you and your team of 20 people. And in order for you to win, you need to hold down as many as you can. And that may sound simple, but trust me, it's not. Because you have to take into account all of the different types of soldiers that can be on the map at one time. Like in Battlefield, you get to pick from 4 different types of soldiers, but if you have enough points, you can choose to spawn in as a special unit known as a reinforcement or a hero. This isn't permanent for the whole game, and in the inevitable fate that you get killed by some little 12-year-old playing as Darth Maul again, you will need to repurchase this character before spawning back in as them. And you know what? I actually love this system. For the most part, my favourite factions to play as were either the clone ones or the stormtrooper ones, because A, they look cooler, and B, I generally enjoyed their special units a little bit more. Specifically the Clone Commando, because his primary seems to absolutely tear through enemies, and he also has an ability that lets you whip out a giant grenade launcher like Rambo. Honestly, I think one of the best things about Supremacy as a mode though, is that it kinda lets you see a side of Star Wars that normies like myself don't really see a whole lot. And that's the second part of the title. The wars bit. It just makes you feel like a cog in a much larger war that in reality could just like explode at any moment. I think that DICE really managed to convey a lot of the same feeling that you get from games like Battlefield that they've also made, in the way that when you're running around these areas, it's not just you in this fight, there's so many other things going on. There's explosions everywhere, other people fighting. If you look up in the air, you can see people in dogfights. It's just really cool. And of course it's fun to go about in a tank and blow people up. Unless it's Quake 4. That's not fun. You know what's also not fun? The flying vehicle. Alright, no, actually shut up. So I was gonna have this whole big segment where I talked about Starfighter Assault and how much I hated the aerial combat in this game. Because in all honesty, when playing on maps like Tatooine, which are not dedicated Starfighter Assault maps, it does kinda suck. However, when getting footage for this video, I wanted some cool shots of the Starfighters flying about, so I went and loaded into the game mode. And what do you know? I was completely wrong. I absolutely love Starfighter Assault. Honestly, I think the reason I love this mode so much is because of Halo Reach. There's a mission in that game called Long Night of Solace where you get to fly the sabers about and defend Anchor 9, and this mode feels just like what I've wanted for so many years. I've really wanted a multiplayer Halo game that uses the saber combat, and this is basically the same thing, with the only difference with it being that I absolutely suck at this mode.
Oh brother, this guy stinks!
But yeah, now I'm going to talk about something that I actually don't like. The Heroes and Villains mode is not my jam.
The galaxy's greatest heroes, deadliest villains, and sauciest self-promoters.
I'm not usually a massive fan of games where you have to pick out certain characters and such, and this is no exception. I know I'm probably going to get a bit of hate for this, because from what I know this is a pretty popular mode, but I genuinely hate this mode. First of all, I'm bad at it. And second of all, every single time I play this, I have to play as the good guy characters. In any other series or franchise, you know, that's pretty cool, that's pretty chill. But in Star Wars, you know, I don't mean to offend anybody, but Luke Skywalker might be the biggest gimp going. But seriously, my actual complaints are the fact that I don't really like the way the characters control. It feels weird and floaty. I know that might be intentional, but I don't like that. Obviously, I don't really hate the mode, there's some good things about it. Of course, it's cool being able to play as these iconic characters and make them fight to the death in a 4v4 deathmatch. And there is other modes in the playlist that I do genuinely find really fun, such as Hero Starfighters. And I mean, I would have checked out Showdown as well, but unfortunately the game just would not let me do that. But I think it really does just lack what made the rest of the game special. But I think the fact that this is one of my only complaints about the game says it all, you know. This is a great game. But honestly, to the people who are crying out for Battlefront 3, I hear you. I want it too. I'll be honest, the sheer amount of people that I'm seeing in comment sections is starting to get a little bit annoying. And yeah, Star Wars Battlefront 2 has a lot of problems, especially right now. There's a lot of bugs with the PC version that make it practically unplayable sometimes. Often the servers won't work because of the huge influx of people playing it. There's some modes that just really aren't the best or are just pretty throwaway, and it is absolutely full of cheaters, which is ruining the experience for all of us. But despite all of its flaws, Star Wars Battlefront 2 still manages to be one of the best first-person, third-person, flight, combat, hero thing games ever made. You know what I mean. And I honestly really urge you to go and download the game yourself and contribute to the reason why there's such big server issues right now. You never know, we might get a Battlefront 3 out of that. You know, I'll be first in line. Just so long as it retains the aspects that made Battlefront 2 so good. But if you enjoyed this video, then maybe consider clicking on one of the videos appearing on screen right now. I know there's a lot of Doom stuff, but I do plan on covering other stuff in the near future. If you want to support this channel, the best way of doing that is by giving this video a like, and if you'd like to get good discounts on a lot of games, then I recommend going to gamesplanet.com. But apart from that, thank you all for watching, and have a nice day.